Yeah, I've been listening to this podcast called Revenue Vitals. It's just like this B2B marketer guy.
Mhm.
And I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't know why I want to say Chris Harrison, but isn't that the To Catch a Predator guy?
I think that's Chris Hansen,
Oh, Chris Hansen.
but this guy catches revenue streams.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, much better, much better. But no, it's he's been given some serious game, and I just been so I like would go back to podcasts that he's dropped over a year ago, and all the stuff
Yeah.
that he's saying is still relevant. I love a podcast. Like, don't get me wrong, I love news podcasts and like latest trends and story. Like, I download podcasts every single day for my commute, but a podcast that you can revisit that's many months old or even years old and the value is still there. Oh man, those are the best ones because it's almost like you have, you know, weeks of homework to do to just catch up. It's like finding a good new artist and you just hear their radio hit and then you search them on Spotify and you find like all their old catalog. And you start hearing like the stuff that their true fans like first got on like way back and oh. So yeah, I love when that happens with a podcast too.
Yeah, that's how I feel about My First Million. I've been listening to those guys. I've been
Fire.
binge watching, or binge listening and watching when I get the chance. Like I'll just listen to them when I'm working out now. And on my like I've literally just probably been spending at least 2 to 3, 4 hours with them a day. And I feel like I'm actually in the conversation because they're just the way they banter is it reminds me of us. Like we just go back and forth and we're just kind of just chilling and talking about what's on our mind. But yeah, I've been going to their older content and it's been sparking a lot of ideas in me, just thinking about, problem solving, thinking about business from a different perspective. And just, I like the way I think it's Sean. I
Hmm.
like the way he approaches life. He's very kind of carefree, but he also has the same like I want to try different things, and that's kind of similar personality to me. So I like the way he breaks down his perspective of different things. And I like the other guy too, Sam, because he's just a junkie in terms of just athleticism. And so both of those guys are actually just very funny. But I've been really binge listening to their podcast and I find it really good. But I want to give that one a shot. So drop that link in the group chat when you get the chance because I love
Definitely.
anything business and practical advice that you can actually just implement.
Yeah, for sure. And those first two guys, Sean and what's Buddy's name? Sam.
Sam, yeah,
I could see how some people would not like them because they kind of have like they have I don't know, they kind of play on the fence of like some things that are really almost I don't know how you say it, like almost like arrogant, some things that
yeah,
they say. But like if you're into that, it's kind of funny.
yeah, exactly. Like sometimes I can't tell if they're dissing a man or if they're complimenting a man.
Right, right.
It's very
They were
borderline.
going in on Tyga on the last episode I listened to because they were talking about the untold business stories of just like how some of the biggest success stories that you never heard before, how they happened. And they're talking about the guy who really created the infomercial and how basically in sometime in like the late 70s or like the early 80s, they changed the regulations on TV for commercials. And so you went from having commercials being restricted to a certain amount of time to having like almost no time limit. So they are like, okay, we're gonna go buy like a TV spot at some obscure hour of the night where there's not really any shows that are on because it'll be super cheap, and then we're gonna put on like a 30-minute commercial. And basically these guys got really good at the messaging and catching people's attention and pulling them in and enticing them to want to learn more and figure something out. Like anyways, they got really good at it. These are the same folks I think that actually like launched Tony Robbins' career and helped
Mhm.
him become who he is like way back in the 80s when he was Anthony. And anyways, like they tell this story about these guys, how they do this. And it was just funny because they had all these other companies that were similar to this infomercial people. And one of them was like creating products for celebrities. And they had something called like Tyga Bites. And they were talking about all the other celebrities that you actually heard of, like, Kendall Jenner and like whatever, Justin Bieber, but they're like Tyga bites. He's like, if Tyga came into my house right now, I'd be like, hey, sir, what are you doing here and who are you? It's just like, who's Tyga and how does he deserve bites? Like, how did he like are there people who still know who Tyga is now? And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I know who Tyga is, but then why is Tyga alive? Is he still is he
Yo,
still
he just recently did a podcast with that, I don't know if you've heard of Bobby, I forget what her last name is, but the like
the girl in the bed?
unf yeah, the girl that's like funny but like
No.
not funny, or I don't know. Some people find her funny. Some people are like, yo, whatever she's doing is cringe, but she literally has like one of the top podcasts or one of the top growing podcasts within the last like 6 weeks, that she's interviewed like Drake,
Yeah, wasn't
Mark
Drake like her
Cuban.
second or third episode or something just like
I think
crazy?
so. Based on, I've heard like little scrapes of stories here and here, and you try to piece it together. But essentially, like what I've heard is that she has like a famous neighbor or something like that, or a neighbor that is connected with famous people. She interviewed like two actors. They liked her. They liked the content or whatever. So then she went on TikTok. She offered $300 to somebody to get to connect her with anybody else that's famous. So she got with this other comedian who's, I think his name is Mark or something like that, and he does like the unfun, like the dry comedy, like, so you think that's funny? And
It's like,
and yeah, so he does one of those, or I think it's Unfunny Mark or something. I can't remember what his name is, but he got an interview with that person, and then Drake saw it, and Drake was like, "Yo, I like this type of content or whatever. Let me hop on." And then so he hopped on to the podcast, and then she did Mark Cuban, or she had Mark Cuban loaded up from before, because based on how the interview went, it looked like Mark Cuban was early on, but she just released it a little bit later, which
mm,
is obviously a smart play. But recently, she actually deleted her interview with Drake, and they like unfollowed each other. It's a little gossip on the Twitter timelines. Nobody knows exactly why, but the Drake interview had like, it was in like the like tens of millions, if I'm not mistaken, when it was up. So it's kind of interesting why she would take that down, because that's literally one of probably, if not the biggest, second to Mark Cuban.
yeah, so if Drake has the golden touch and he can make anybody famous, does he also have the kiss of death?
I think she's too far gone at this point.
Yeah, she's already solidified. She's her own
Yeah,
entity now.
she's done. She did. Was it Uzi or Kodak Black? I can't tell these rappers.
These are different stratospheres, my friend.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference between these rappers anymore. But she did another rapper, and
Yo,
that interview did well.
Kodak Black and Lil Uzi Vert, I think, have their own like
They're definitely separate. Yeah,
significant followings though, like huge
very
groups.
significant. Yes, very significant.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's killing the game. And she's doing really well. So there's definitely a lot of good podcasts out there. Yeah, we should do an episode where we review podcasts, our favorite podcasts, do like a deep dive.
I'm down to, give like my top three, top five, what I'm listening to right now.
Yeah, you want to do that right now?
Oh, when I said it, I did. I don't know where I put the comma or the semicolon in that sentence, but it was like, what am I listening to right now? You know how it's just like now playing.
Yeah.
But I mean, shoot, I could do it off the hip, but I'd actually have to pull up my Spotify.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a next episode, because I know
Save that back burner.
yeah, let's save that for next episode, because I know we have some things that we want to talk about today. You want to start it off, or should I go?
Well, you pick a topic and kick it off, and we'll just go from there. We'll just riff.
All right, best. Well, lately in my life, just introduced a third kid, and
Congratulations.
thank you very much. And a lot of things have been changing. My wife has a bit, she had a business, she has a business, but she's on pause right now. And or you could say maternity leave, but it's a little bit different when you're an entrepreneur. You don't have the standard maternity leave. You got to create your own maternity leave. And
Mhm.
so with that means that for me personally, I can't take parental leave, because we got to keep the income high to be able to support the needs that we have. So I've been thinking a lot about money recently. I've
Mm.
been thinking about how to increase my income, how to save more money, how to invest more money, how to pay down debts more aggressively. I want to be a well-oiled machine when it comes to money. And the reason why I say that is because I made a lot of mistakes when I was younger. And now that I'm in my 30s, early 30s, like I'm literally only 31, all the information that I have now, I wouldn't say that it makes me regretful for the decisions that I made earlier in my money career, but it's a thorn. It's definitely a knife in the side when I think about how different my life could be in my 30s. So I thought maybe we talk about some money mistakes that we might have made, or even money lessons that we know now that we're like, man, I made this mistake when I was younger when I didn't know anything about money. This is how I would do it now. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I
All
like that.
right, bet.
That's cool. I mean, I think that's also useful because a lot of people really kind of money is like air or it's like water to a fish. Like it's around them and like they know about it and they think about it, but they don't strategize or they don't think deeply about it. So yeah, be good to dive in.
Yeah, definitely. And I know, like, in my culture, being Nigerian background, we don't talk about money. You don't talk about money. You don't talk about if you have it, and you don't talk about if you don't have it. You kind of just brush it under the rug. It's not something that we talk about at dinner time. It's definitely not something that you talk about around the holidays when it's time to shell up some extra cash. So I want to start off probably very early when I first had my first job. When I first got my first job, um, that's around the legal age to work in Canada, I believe, is 16.
He's like, let me not misspeak and indict my parents for
let me make sure I'm
I'm
careful
sure
here.
you're
So
past the statute of limitations on that
yes,
one.
definitely, definitely. So 16, I believe, is when you can start working. I think I got my first job around that time, 16, 17.
My first job I was
Um,
15.
okay, so if you're
I think
50,
you can
then
start working at
so you can,
15.
so then I got my first job at 16. I remember, like, just it was a year after I was legal to start working. So 16, got my first job at McDonald's, making a little bit of cheddar, getting that student
Is that
wage.
a pun? I was making the cheeseburgers.
Yo, that was a good one. Still, I didn't even recognize. I'm freestyling right now.
Okay,
So
go, 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 go.
making a little bit of cheddar, and getting that student wage, which I believe at the time was like $3.25 or
No,
five
it was
dollars and
not. No,
something. It was like
yeah,
five
because
something.
my very first job, I was getting paid 6.15 or like 6.10.
Jeez, I
Student
wish I was getting
was
that. I wish I was
student.
getting that.
That was student wage in
Yeah.
when was I 15? In like 2004?
Jeez.
Yeah,
Jeez, that's 19 years ago.
yeah. That's how
Yeah.
old
So
I am,
around that,
fam.
yeah. So around that time, making about, around 5, 6
You
bucks.
just
So
had a moment. Okay,
I
keep
did. I
going.
was just thinking back. It was like, damn, that was a long time ago. So yeah, around that time, making about 5, 6, 7 bucks. We'll just round it up to seven just to make sure that we're not doing any complex math here. Um, I wish that I knew about opening up a bank account, which I already had a bank account because obviously I had to get paid direct deposit. But I wish I knew more about like putting money away, like investing money, because at that time I had virtually no bills. Like I paid for my own cell phone bill, and cell phone bill at that time was just buying minutes. All I
Mm.
need to do is buy like a little $20 of minutes, and that would have lasted me about a month, I would say. Now, for those people who don't know what I'm talking about, because now you have data plans and unlimited Canada wide calling. Back in the days when you had a cell phone, little flip phone thing, you needed to buy minutes. So you would buy a card and it'd have a code on the back. You enter that code in on your phone, and it would
Mm.
say you have 60 minutes. So that means you can make 60 minutes of calls, or you could load up a total monetary amount. So in this case, let's say $20, and each text message was 25 cents. So
Mm.
just imagine how many text messages you can send on 25 cents when you're texting your girl. Not that many. So
But you
that's
know what? I really wish sometimes that they would bring back that damn charging per text message because you ever get those people who send you 7 thoughts, but they could have just used some punctuation and like a period,
yo,
maybe a
that's me. That's me. I'm sorry. That's me. If that pisses you off, Courtney, I am sorry because that's me. I'll be like, hey, bro.
as in two different texts. Hey is a different text, and then bro is a different text.
Real talk. And then I'll say my
And
thought.
people like you are the reason why notifications have been off since 2011.
Yo, for real, for real.
We
I have
used to
my
buy
notifications
ringtones.
on.
We used to buy ringtones. We don't now we don't even turn our phones
Don't
on
even want.
loud.
We don't want it on. Yo, you're
Sorry, I'm
absolutely right.
getting I'm
So,
getting off track.
yo, that has me dying because it's
That's
bringing back
hilarious.
memories.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, that's what minutes were. So that was literally my only bill. So let's say if I worked a good solid weekend, overnight, I come home from work, I come home from school Friday, work, do an overnight, double it up, and then work on the Saturday and then take Sunday off because I got to go to church. If I do
Man.
that for 2 weeks, I was bringing in like about 100 to 150 bucks. And my only, so let's say $300 a month. And my only expense was like maybe $20 to $40. And then maybe I buy food, I splurge a little bit at the cafeteria at the school. Maybe max I'm spending $50. So I could theoretically have about $250 to $200 left at the end of the month.
Mm.
Now, me being a young guy,
Young man.
all I wanted to do was buy video games. I bought my first Xbox, bought my first controller, bought the PSP, bought the Game Boy Advance. Like I literally bought like every console I could think of or every handheld device I could think of. But now thinking back, I'm like, yo, those experiences were great, but I missed out on a huge opportunity to put away money to compound, which I know a word of compound at that time. But now that I do know that, I'm like, man, I could have put away a ton of money, even just 50% of what I was making. And that compounded over, the last 15, 12, 20. Oh my God. Compounded over the last 14 years of till now, 14, 15 years, that could have been a large lump sum of money, which could have been a good foundation to start my professional career. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a number of ways. Like one, I agree in the fact that, you could have compounded that money and you could have a little bit more right now. But I also think that there's a lesson to be learned in losing money, and no one makes a lot of money before they lose a little money at least. And so it's not that you lost money, but you've come to have an appreciation for how hard it is to earn a dollar and how quickly you can spend a dollar. And I think that's like a muscle that has to be developed by practice. You like no one can give that to you. So having a job and trading your time to get dollars and then spending those dollars and seeing where your time goes is actually a really good experience to have. So people who are given money, they actually have a harder time developing their awareness of like their spending habits. So I think it's good, and obviously there's opportunity there, but I think you have an opportunity in a different sense with a different milestone that you just crossed. Like you say, you just added a third baby to the bunch. I mean, I, I think why not start right there and start trying to compound as this is a new milestone going forward. So, matter of fact, you were talking about $250 a month. I don't know if you peep my slides beforehand, but I have this slide right here. And so
Holy.
so this right here, what we're looking at is basically um talking about saving up an emergency fund. And this isn't necessarily to save to invest, but it's the same principle that you can use and apply whether you're trying to invest or if you're trying to save for a vacation or you're saving up to buy Christmas gifts or you're saving up for just an emergency fund because when eventually you're going to need to fix your car and if it breaks down you want to have money to take it to the mechanic or if something happens around the house and you need to be able to pay for it, you want to have that cash reserve there. Or if you're transitioning between jobs, if your partner is going to be out of work for a little while, like you want to have that cash reservoir. So like the emergency fund, here's the practical. Okay, you look at everything that you have to buy every month. So that's your food, your shelter, the utilities like keeping the lights on, heating the place up, whatever. Transportation, maybe that's a Presto card if you're taking transit, maybe that's the Ubers that you're buying to get around if you don't actually have a car, but you need to use that or whatever it is. Gas, and then like your phone, whatever. You boil that down to a number because that's your fixed expenses. If it came down to it and that stuff hit the fan, like you're gonna cut Netflix. You know, you're
Mhm.
not gonna eat out as many times. You're gonna cut back on some other places, but these are the non-negotiables. So let's just say like each month, your costs for round numbers is 250. Now, if you see your bank account and you see 250, you know that you could go at least 1 month without making another dollar while you figure out what you're gonna do next. And I think having that frame of reference for like how much time you can buy yourself is a great incentive for people to save. And so when you start to save up multiple months or you start to put a serious amount of time in the bank for yourself, then you kind of have a freedom to make more decisions. Or you can look at things like, you know, in the bank account right now, I have my first year of college. Or you could say, I have a down payment on a house in the bank right now. Or I have, you know, maternity leave. I have 6 weeks off work. 2 weeks, I'm going to get paid vacation. And the next six, I'm going to just be off. Like you just start looking at time different when you have money. And I think
Mhm.
it all comes from the same thing that you're talking about is just learning how to put money away. And when you start breaking things down and seeing how much time they cost, then it's twofold. One, you can see how long it's going to take you to get them. Like, I want to go to Cabo St. Lucius. It's going to cost us 2 grand for the flight and the hotel. We'll think about the food afterwards, but flight and hotel is going to be 2 grand for 2 tickets round trip. All right, I got 10 months. How can I break that down to see how much time I'm going to have to spend at work, you know, to go on that trip?
Yeah.
And so, like, you just start setting targets and breaking things down. Say something costs $1,000, it's 5 months. You get paid twice a month, you know, so that's 10 deposits. 1,000 divided by 10, it's $100. So each time you get paid, you take $100 and put it away, and then in 10 months, you're gonna have that thing. You know what I mean? So just that's how I kind of look at money based on like that same lesson that you talk about of, you know, spending your money and it going to places, and you're like, where the hell did it go?
Mhm.
When I started saving and then looking at, you know, how much time, and this is obviously as I started to get more bills, right? You said
Yeah.
you really only bill is your cell phone. So I could save up a year's worth of my cell phone in the bank and then start spending.
Mhm.
You know, I would save up all my bus fare for the second semester of school, and then I would start spending. And then once you have those layers built in, I mean, you can spend guilt free because you already paid yourself first.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. And like that's one thing I remember you telling me. You're like, man, I love the quotables. So sometimes I'll be forgetting them because there's so many. But I remember one you said, measure twice, cut once. I think that's how you say it.
Bro, I did not make that up.
I
So
don't think you made it up, but you told it to me. So I'm just giving you credit
okay,
for
yeah,
it.
I can't take credit for that one because I was said
Okay.
by 1,000
A
people.
thousand bats, but to me, Courtney Stevens said it. So measure twice, cut once. I remember that one. Also, you said something about if you're like tracking your money, like if you don't track it, you don't know where it goes.
Yeah, keep score. You gotta keep score, or else you're gonna
Gotta
lose the
keep
money game.
exactly. So I started budgeting during the pandemic. And
Mm,
so I've had a spreadsheet that keeps track of all of my expenses over the last 3 years. And that's
mm,
been absolutely crucial for me to know exactly how much I'm spending when I'm going over budget. In fact, I kind of moved away from setting a hard budget. If it's a fixed expense, I already know that's exactly what it's going to be. But I've actually started going to more of a variable budget and having like categories and just saying, okay, in this category of spending for, let's say, lifestyle, or like which would be like food or groceries, any type of like, you know, deodorant, soap, whatever. That's like lifestyle type stuff that I need to make sure I'm living a healthy lifestyle. I'll put that into a category so now I can keep track of like which categories are eating up the most amount of my money. So I feel like budgeting has been super huge for me in the last few years to just keep track of everything. I know what my debts are, I know what my savings are, I know what my investments are, and that allows me, it gives me a little bit of peace of mind, a little bit kind of like I remember the time I was looking at it every single day, but now I've
mhm.
kind of scaled back to like looking at it like once a month or once a week if I feel like I gotta just update things to kind of just know where I'm at for the month, to kind of give myself like a runway for the next month, but it's been very, very helpful. And I think having a budget tracker, I use Google Sheets, has been instrumental for me to keep an eyeball on where
Mhm.
I'm at. So now I know, oh yeah, last month we went crazy on the Uber Eats. Yeah. Or, this month we got to cut back on this because we need to allocate this money for other things. Let's say we want to sign somebody up for gymnastics, or, we want to do a vacation, a quick vacation, or we want to go take the kids out to an excursion or something like that. Now I know, okay, I got to allocate from here to this based on last month, based on the last 3 months, and looking at like trends of my spending.
Mhm. Yo, have you ever heard of Mint? Do you ever try Mint?
I've used Mint and I absolutely hate it.
Really?
And the reason why I hate it is because I have to go in and start setting the categories. And every month it like disconnects you from my bank account. I gotta go. So it just was so irritating to go in and have to reconnect the categories and connect everything back. I was like, I'm just gonna do this myself in my own spreadsheet.
Oh man, that's tough because I've been using Mint for like 5 years and it just gives me so much aggregated data. And like once you shop at a store, you can categorize that store underneath a certain, maybe go to Shoppers Drug Mart
Mhm.
and it'll say like, what is this? Is this a convenience store? Is this a pharmacy? Like, is this a grocery store? And once you put it under that category, it should keep giving you that category for the rest of the time. But
Yeah.
it allows me to see like where I'm spending. And I think a budget is not what people typically describe it as. Like a budget, I think traditionally people describe it as like these are the bounds that you have to stay within. But to me, I'm more look at it as like, okay, first let's just see at where you're at. So spend as you have been spending. You connect your debit card or like your regular bank account, your checking account, savings account, and you connect your credit card and you can connect your investing accounts. So you can track your net worth and your spending and your cash flow. So cash flow meaning in and out. And so you can see how is the trend of maybe the debt that you're carrying. What is the trend of your total net worth? What is the trend of your spending in certain categories month over month? And then look to see, all right, based on my lifestyle, I spend X amount of dollars on like these fixed things every month. And
Mm.
and a lot of things in there are small, so I wasn't considering them. Like maybe I paid for I went on the tollway, I went on the 407 for a quick little drive, but I didn't really think nothing of it because it was fast and it automatically pays off my credit card, so I don't have to physically do it, so I don't think about it. Or
Mhm.
maybe like I just stop for like a coffee once or twice a week, and then I grab lunch once or twice, and then like sometimes I'll order something small off Amazon. But then like you show a pattern of behavior, you're gonna see like, okay, I'm actually spending X amount on clothes pretty much every month, spending X amount on gadgets pretty much every month. So then the budget isn't necessarily about like rules. It's just a score sheet for you to see like this is how you've been spending. And if you want to carve out more space,
Mhm.
this is where it has to come from based on the numbers. It's math. It allows you to forecast and it allows you to adjust. But here's the good thing. If you pay everything that is required of you, like that savings, we're talking about investing for the future. If you pay all your fixed expenses, set away the amount of money you want to save for the future, then after that, you can literally spend guilt free because all of the chores and the important stuff has been done already. Like
Yeah.
instead of trying to see what's left over to pay yourself, the budget just gives you the freedom. It's like taking track of your calendar. You ever try to book a meeting with somebody who doesn't keep a calendar? Like they'll always keep pushing it or they'll say like I'll get back to you. If you try to book a meeting with me, I can tell you right now if I'm available because
Yeah.
my entire life is in there. So it's the same thing. Like you don't know if you have the money because you don't know where all your money is going. You got to give every dollar a job.
Ooh. 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 You got anything?
Um I won't even say necessarily I think really maybe it could be considered a lesson or a mistake, but like trying to find ways to like make money faster
Mm.
and then not just sticking to proven ways that you can get money guaranteed slower, and just
Yeah.
listening to advice of other people are just like, yo, this stock right here, this is gonna boom. Like, you should get this. And just buying it because somebody said that. When in reality, I'm doing really well with the things that I've taken the time and learned and studied and like got to understand and I have a good sense for. But
Yeah.
like deviating off of that plan to do something that somebody told me about, like what the hell do they know that they're just going to give you the golden ticket? Like I ain't never met Willy Wonka, and quite honestly, I don't want to because the same person who tells you when to buy has to also be there to tell you when to sell, and they're never around. And so I think trying to jump on waves where you can like come up quickly has been one of the main things that I would say is like a financial mistake. But like I said earlier on, like no one's made a lot of money without losing a little bit first. So I'm glad that I actually have those experiences because that gives you the discipline to like stick to what you know.
Yeah.
And if you can't stick to what you know, then you you'll fall victim to other people's ideas, and that's a tough place to be because you're not in control when you're letting somebody else kind of influence everything that you do with your own money.
Yeah, that's funny because today I got a DM from this guy. I liked his tweet because he had like he was talking about yeah, he was talking about personal finance and budgeting and all that. I seen his dashboard. I'm like, yo, that's a sick dashboard. Like, I would love to implement that into my Excel, my Google Sheets for my personal finances. I made the mistake. He followed me, so I followed him back, and he DM'd me. I'm gonna read the DMs to you real quick. So
How's your
he's like,
trade? How's your trade going?
oh my gosh, this guy already knows. So he's just like, quick, I'll just go through this quickly. He's like, blessings, peace, and abundance. And I'm just like, hey Kenny, what's up? I'm like, awesome post. I was wondering if you created that dashboard yourself. He's like, good fam, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing well. And then the pitch starts. He's like, yes, I do. I got some better recommendations for you. He didn't even say recommendation, commendations for you. I know you will benefit from it weekly. I'll be the one coaching you through all the trading strategies.
Yo,
I said,
first of all, this man does not speak English.
no. I said, not really into trading at the moment, but that personal finance dashboard caught my eye for sure. He ignores that and goes, what I basically do is trade options effectively for my students slash clients. And once you've created an account on the company website, which is fully regulated and then funded, I now take up the task of professionally trading management. And with my industry leading trading signals and winning tactics, here's the kicker, we are sure to make up to 70% profits every week. Example, you keep it up with the
Bro,
math right here.
no, done this,
hold,
done
hold on,
this. You
hold
know
on,
what
hold on.
this
No, 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 hold on. I gotta give you this one because this is the one that got me. Keep in mind, this guy just said, we are sure to make up to 70% profits every week.
yeah.
Example, if you fund your account with $1,000, can earn up to 12,600 weekly. So
Huh?
I replied, $12,600 weekly from $1,000 funding is way more than 70% growth. You should be trading for Warren Buffett with those type of returns.
Fam. Yo, I'll tell you exactly what this is. This is a scam to get people to pay money and they're gonna disappear because they don't even speak English. How are they supposed to catch them?
100%. Bro, the guy tried to tell me I have to fund it with Bitcoin from my wallet
Yo, okay.
and he's going to take 10%. Anyway,
This
so
is
I
this is
blocked him.
this is the
I
thing.
blocked
This
him.
is the thing though. This is the thing. That person is a blatant liar. But the thing is, the people who you know and love, who get a tip, also be the ones who give you the bad advice. But it's not because of malice. Don't this is another quotable for you. Um, don't credit to malice what can be credited to ignorance. And I think some people who have a lot of great things to say in like a certain area of life, they don't necessarily have that same level of quality of the things to say in every aspect of life.
Mhm.
And so you gotta, take those things with a grain of salt and just understand that like if you if you yourself don't come to a conclusion by yourself,
Mhm.
then it's a conclusion that someone else gave you. And therefore, you will not be able to reverse engineer the logic to get you out of that situation with the tide changes. And when it comes to investing your hard-earned money, like we already said, you're trading your time for this money. How do you want to spend your time? I want to put my time into things that I'm confident in,
Yeah.
including like the things that I spend it on leisurely, not just random stuff because it's too tough out here to just get money, bro. Even when you have a great system set up, it took you too long to set it up. Took you too long to get the good job. It took you too long to get to a place where you can spend to just waste it. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, I'm done taking advice from people on where I should invest my money. I think that was something I learned at a younger age.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's better to learn the fundamentals and have conviction in what you're doing, because it's easier to swallow the pill that way, in my opinion. I'm gonna jump on one more before we move to something else that I want to talk about. Or unless you have anything that you want to jump onto, but one thing that I wish I knew when I first started working, especially when I first started getting salary positions, was negotiating every contract. I did not know that every contract was negotiable. And even when I did know that contracts were negotiable, I wasn't fully aware on A, how to negotiate properly, and then B, how to take control of the negotiation so that you're not setting up a ceiling or a cap on what you're able to earn. And I think that I left a lot of money on the table earlier on in my career. On negotiations when it comes to salary, when it comes to even benefits that comes with the salary, and all the other perks that you can get.
Yeah, I've been involved in some contract negotiations, but I've always had an agent in the middle to deal with. I don't say always, but like just as a pro player. And the reason you have the agent is because you want to maintain the relationship between you and the other entity, and the agent is the one who's able to get sticky. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
then you could still show up to work every day after making a demand for something or trying to ask for concessions. But, you always just gotta have leverage in a negotiation and understand
Mhm.
what your leverage is, and when you get delusional about what your leverage is, that's kinda when things fall off the rail.
Yeah. For your latest job, did your agent negotiate that for you? Or did you have to negotiate yourself?
No, my agent hasn't negotiated for me since I played, so in my last job, really, you have 2 offers. I had
Mhm.
offer A and offer B, and you really just show both places, and you're just like, "Yo, this is what A is offering me, and this is what B is offering me." Obviously it's not just about a dollar sign.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into a job: lifestyle, flexibility, total comp, um, benefits, like all that kind of stuff. So you just say like, yo, here's what I'm working with. I really want to be here. Um, can we can we can we meet halfway?
Yeah.
And you see what they're willing to do because you gotta negotiate in good faith. I think that's the thing that I know about negotiating. You can't become a terrorist.
No, no. Yeah, I think my last job, the one that I currently have, was probably my best negotiation ever. Um, I knew going in what I wanted. I didn't get close to what I wanted, but I was able to negotiate other things which I've never done in the past before. So, the base he told me what the base was. It was lower than what I wanted. So what I had to do was I had to kind of work around to get to closer to what I wanted to do. So there was a couple programs that they had in place that were going to start 1 year after you're hired. So you have to be employed for 1 year with the company for them to give you stock options, or in this case, they're called deferred share profit sharing,
Mm.
and also to give you access to a RSP match. So for you guys in America, that's like a 401k match. Here in Canada, it's called RRSP. Retire. Re, what's it stand for again?
Registered
Registered. Yeah.
retirement savings plan. And
Awesome.
actually, an RRSP is something that you have like personally generally, or you can have like a plan sponsored RRSP, which would be through your work. There's also like registered pension plans.
Mhm.
Similar effect. It's like a tax deferred vehicle, but those are often done by like insurance companies or whatever, like through your work. But anyways, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we might have to
401k,
we might
401k.
have to do one of those episodes later on too. But essentially, there was a match. So that program started 1 year later in order to help bring the
So 1 year
salary
is a
up.
long ass
It
time.
is a very long time. It
It
is a
should
very
be
long time.
3 months, like
It
tops.
definitely should be 3 months, but they put it at 1 year probably because there's high turnover. It's a very old school business, so there's probably a lot of turnover. So they made it 1 year. So I was able to negotiate that and get that to start immediately. So
Mm.
that brought my overall income up. Instead of the traditional 2 weeks, I was able to get a 3 week. Yeah, should I be saying this? Actually, I didn't sign anything that said I shouldn't be saying this. So instead of getting 2 weeks,
You know,
I was able to get
we only
three
got one
weeks.
subscriber. I,
Nah,
I'm
we got more than that.
I'm
We got more than that. But yes, hi mom. But yeah, so then instead of 2 weeks, 3 weeks vacation. So that kind of instead of getting more on the income side, I got more on the time saved side, if you want to put it like that, by getting a 3 week vacation instead of a 2 week vacation. So more time I'm getting paid, but more time with my family, more flexibilities as you could put it. So I felt like that kind of bridged the gap between where I wanted to be and what they're willing to offer. And it gave me a little bit more. And so like I say all this to say that when you're in your negotiations, don't just look at the total comp. Don't just look at the number value. There are other ways to make the offer sweeter. There are other ways to make the job more lucrative for you by looking at the benefits package, by looking at your vacation time, by looking at some things that are quote unquote, oh, you have to wait 3 months or you have to wait 1 year for that. See if you can get it sooner. Those are some ways. And then some tactics that work for me is they already are giving you the offer. So they really want you. So just like restate why they want you, like the things that are your strengths. So that's what I did. I was like, yo, remember, like you wanted XYZ. I bring XYZ. And on top of that, this is all the other things that I'm able to do. And based on industry standards, this is how much that costs. And based on my experience, this is where I feel I should be. And another thing that I find really helpful is always give a range when they ask you, like, what salary do you want? Give a range or just say it all depends on the role and the fit between my skills and the role. And then I'll be able to give you a salary range or a salary when they say, how much do you want to make? I think those things kind of keep it open so that you don't cap yourself. Because the worst thing you could do is the person says, hey, how much do you want to make? And you're like, oh, well, I'm making like, $40,000 right now. I want 45. And then in
They're like
their head,
sold. I was gonna give you 70.
exactly, exactly. So that's the one thing you do not want because every business is going to try and save money. And if they can save money on their most expensive expense that's on the expense sheet, which is labor cost, they're definitely 100% going to do that by taking advantage of you. So make sure you negotiate for your salaries and trying to get more on top of what they're offering you. I feel like every contract is negotiable, especially when it comes to salary. I feel like most recruiters are expecting you to negotiate, and if you don't, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, it's all about the total rewards, man. Like you're saying, there's things like there's amenities that you could get, there's accommodations you could get that come into the whole package, right?
Yeah.
And another thing too, here's like a gem for you, and this is for anybody who has like a skill and they get on stages and they speak. This is something, it's kind of like a little trick that I learned as I got mm, you know, I started doing a lot more speaking. Like I've spoke for probably like 10 years or so. And early on, you just got to get reps. You take whatever you can get. You go to a football practice and you talk after practice is done. You go to like your old high school and you go in your old teacher's class and you talk. You do whatever you can do, right? And then you get to a point where people are calling you up to come and talk at events. And then now you're having, you know, more demand than time available. So you have to start making choices about which opportunities you're going to take and which ones you're not. And so one way that you can go from that stage of early on, squeezing out a couple of $100 here or there, and then really starting to be able to command your price for the value that you're providing is in the conversation. when you're talking to somebody about the speaking, the simple line you just say like this: what is the budget for this event? You don't say nothing else. Just say that after, having your whole conversation. You talk about what you want to do. You understand the deliverable, the audience, the timing, the setting, all those kinds of things. Cool. Okay. Glad we talked about it. I definitely could do crowds that size. That's no problem. I could definitely work within those times. AV, no AV, whatever. We could do all that seated, standing, whatever the set is. Cool, all that these time frames seem like they work. Cool. Now, while we're tying this up, like, what is the budget for this event? And at that point right there, the person has to tell you what their range is. And if it's not something that you're comfortable with, the ball is in their court to tell you. Because a
Mm.
lot of times you'll want to work with somebody just because you really do think it's a great opportunity and you like them. And so you'd be willing to whatever work within their budget. But if it's not something that you're like dying to do, then that's the perfect opportunity for you to say, "Oh, for this one, it's actually going to cost you 5,000, 10,000." So when you're coming talking about 500, we're gonna have to get that number up a little bit for this to be something I'm able to do. I've got a lot of other things on the go right now, but I might be able to make this happen for somewhere in that $5,000 range, given what you're asking.
Mhm.
And then it just kind of sets expectations and anchors people to where you feel your value is. And
Yeah.
if they can't get there and you want to work with them, you work with them. But if they can't get there and you are not super excited about doing it, then you don't have to do it. And that's how you set your value by asking people, like, what's the budget for this? And they're going to tell you. Some people might come out and just like you're saying, like, blow your socks off to be like, yeah, this is a $20,000 speaking appearance. And you'd be like,
You gotta hold your water there.
yeah, but yo, you gotta always be you do, but you always have to be thinking that you're a six-figure person. Like
Yeah.
you're just not compensated the way that you will be yet.
Mhm.
So when that check does show up, you gotta stand in there confidently and be like, I cannot wait to serve. Thank you for the opportunity.
That's huge. That's huge. Yo, how do you determine your value? Maybe you're at the beginning stage of your career, whether in business or as a professional. How do you put a monetary number on what you feel your not your value as a person, but
Product,
your product?
you sell one. And if somebody buys it, you raise the price. And if someone buys it again, you just raise the price again. And if somebody is buying it, and if there's a lot of them, you just keep raising the price. And then if you get to a point where people are saying that's too expensive, you have a choice. You either find a way to get better at what you do, or you package it up in a way where the value is more apparent to the people who you're selling to. Or another choice is maybe you've outgrown the audience that you're currently dealing with and it's time for you to deal with a different audience. But the only way to determine what the market will bear is to sell your product. You could do all the estimations you want in the world. There's people who sell online video courses that are no higher quality than this podcast right here, face to camera. Maybe they have a slide deck they made on Canva. Maybe they do not. I've paid like $400 for a course that was a guy sitting in front of a camera like this talking to me, 10 videos. 10 videos of a guy just talking to me like this. I paid $400 happily. And there's people who pay significantly more,
Yeah.
5,000, 10,000, $15,000 to be a part of communities online and to go to weekend seminars or to join mastermind groups that meet quarterly. They're paying significant amounts of money because you're not paying for the videos, you're paying for the transformation. And your
Mhm.
ability to illuminate the transformation is your ability to command a higher price.
Ooh, okay. Well, Yeah, that's it for me. That's that. We could go on all night. We could bring up more topics, but I feel like we covered the money part a lot, like very, very well. I don't know if you want to end it there or if you got something else on your mind.
Man, I could talk money all day, but I think I'll spare the folks and we can save some of that ammunition for the next episode.
Awesome. You have any last quotables for us before we jump?
I don't know, man. Really, it's funny money. Money is a funny thing. I think is we make it complicated and like the world makes it complicated and they talk about it in like scary terms like of crises, like banking crisis, housing crisis, like all these kind of emotions around money. Um, but when you boil it down, it's very basic math: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. How much are you spending? How much are you making? Make sure that you spend less than you make. Think about the future. Put some skrill away for another day and just don't take your eye off the ball. If you keep score, you have the best chance of winning the game.
That's it. All right, man. Well, we'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate you guys. Peace.